Did you know you can use end-rods for defense, or dead coral as barbed wire, or even potions for X-ray vision? Today, we're gonna see the crazy hidden uses for Minecraft's everyday items. What if instead of your trees burning down when they caught fire, they charred to a crisp like this? Well, that's not in the base game, but with polished basalt, we can make a pretty convincing scorched tree trunk. And hey, it's even got the rings inside like so, making this feel all that more realistic. Why did we bring these campfires to the ocean? Well, for good reason. See, as this user discovered, if you place a set of unlit campfires like so, we can have ourselves a convincing raft out on the 7 seas. So if you're not going to use them for a bridge, this might be your next best decoration. If you build your water elevators like this, you're doing it wrong. Instead, using item frames, we can make it accessible from all sides, instead of this one using signs. And hey, it's a lot less obtrusive too, especially if you use map art as a disguise. What happens if you were to put a beacon on top of another beacon? Well, nothing. Or at least that's what it seems like. Since if we were to use this beacon in conjunction to a different kind of stained glass, you'll notice that it functions much the same way as a white stained glass block would. Though, interestingly enough, this only happens if there's another stained glass block present. It doesn't just work on its own. By placing 2 grindstones facing each other in between 2 wall posts, they can make for a stylish substitute for the fences that we're used to. And hey, you can even see out the back of them, allowing for some added visibility as well. Just make sure not to build this next to your village, unless you want a bunch of weaponsmiths walking about. Turtle eggs can be surprisingly useful for redstone. As you'll see, if a mob stands on a turtle egg, each egg will break after a certain window, meaning we can make a single-use redstone timer for however long we want. Just drop the mob, break the eggs, and wait until they power the pressure plate down below. Easy as that. What happens when this anvil hits an item? Well, as it turns out, there's enough force to kill the entity on impact, which frankly seems like a lot more effort than just throwing your trash into a fire or a cactus, but if you want to set up a stylish execution, this might be the best way to get rid of an illegal item. This is one of the rare times that water and redstone mix. See, by using a bubble column like so, we can connect our redstone build to an observer, and then flip a switch to trigger the stream on and off. And then when the observer notices it, we get a cheeky bit of wireless redstone. And unlike this trick using walls, we can use this to send a signal upwards instead of just down. Instead of using cobwebs for barbed wire, try this. Because, as this user pointed out, dead brain coral matches the look even better. And even if it doesn't slow down any intruders like a cobweb would, if you make the wall tall enough that you can't jump over it, it'll still look the part. Armor stands only have arms in bedrock. Or, so you thought. Since if we were to place an oak fence gate, then open it, we can place an armor stand in between and then close the gate afterwards to make a pretty convincing armor stand decoy. And even though it can't hold items, it still looks a lot better than any other statue that we're using. Berry bushes hurt, but they could save your life. See, the way that it works is that we actually move slower through berry bushes than air. And because of that, landing on a pad of sweet berry bushes, regardless of maturity, will break your fall. Where do we hide this button? Well, if we scoot to the side, you might be able to notice that it's behind the banner. And what's even better is that we can still use the button behind even when it's covered up. And I'm sure that some of you can think of plenty of ways to use this for your next secret entrance. This is glass, and this is shattered glass, or so it looks like. See, with the Caves and Cliffs addition to glow lichen, this user pointed out that by placing some on the outside of a glass block, you can make it look shattered like so. So if you want to make your ruined builds look, well, ruined, this sells the look a lot more than a clean piece of glass. By using nether stems and hyphae, creating secret messages with maps is a whole lot easier. Now, looking at it like this, it's less obvious. But when seen from a map above, the nether stems appear blue while the hyphae is shown as a darker red. And anyone who comes across this mess of blocks placed together will be just as confused as how and why it's there. So this will keep it just our little secret. Why would you use daylight sensors as fuel? Well, I'm not sure, since the yield is only about 1.5 items smelted per sensor. But just the simple fact that you're able to cook with one of these is a surprise to me. And I guess this means that if you're looking for a solar-powered furnace, you can get one, but it won't be the way that you expect. Why waste time building a bridge like this when we could do this instead? See, it's a simple fact that flowing lava and water mix together to make stone. And with that, we can turn our stone generator into a stone platform generator if we place it like so. And not to mention that this can save you plenty of time and hassle, since you don't have to swim out and place each one of these blocks individually. Just let the lava spread out like so, and then you can pick it up to repeat for another use. Instead of using water to get down from a cliff, try TNT. Now, that obviously sounds crazy, but it turns out that by using only 2 blocks of TNT, you can place and destroy it quick enough for you to fall down and not take any fall damage by the time you place the next block. Which could come in handy in a dicey situation, though what that situation looks like, I have no clue. Instead of pixel art like this, let's try this instead. See, in Bedrock Edition, it's possible to dye the water in cauldrons like so. And with that, we can have ourselves a whole new color palette of blocks to use for our art. And it only takes one look at this user's Lapras rendition to see that this is a worthwhile medium for sure. Plus, it gives another purpose to our cauldrons, which tend to be a neglected block anyways. What's the difference between a river like this and one like this? Well, the answer's glass. See, by using special layers of blue stained glass underneath our water, we can make it look a lot nicer than the natural option with gravel and dirt. So dig that sand out of your lake, smelt it up, and then you can use it like this to make it look a lot nicer. Speaking of putting glass underwater, this design is great for lighting up the dark depths. See, with a column of glass placed from the seabed to the surface, you can create a skylight of some sorts to light up your underwater world. And if you don't have the time to smelt up the glass, then you should know that sugarcane could also be used as an alternative. From a distance, these look like lettuce crops in vanilla Minecraft, but up close, it turns out to be just a creeper head oriented like so. And while the face on the side might be a dead giveaway, it could make for a neat piece of decoration for a future farm. And if you're sick of the regular plants in your village, this gives both a creative twist and a solid warning to any creepers that walk by. Instead of using wheat to guide your mobs, try flint and steel. Okay, hear me out. This actually isn't that crazy. See, if you place a water source in the animal pen and then light the nearest mob on fire, it's coded to run toward the nearest water source to cool off. And that'll leave them no choice but to fall into your trap. Just make sure they don't have to run too far while they're on fire. Otherwise, you'll be left with a grilled pork chop instead of a pig pen. Here's why Bedrock has better fire aspect swords. See, in Java, we can only use these things to ignite our enemies, but in Bedrock, we can also right-click with a fire aspect sword or book to reignite a campfire or a candle. Or if that's just not violent enough for you, don't worry, since you can also use this to light a piece of TNT in a snap. This floor makes it impossible to do a water bucket save, and the reason being is this inverted slab. See, given how the game mechanics work, anyone who tries to place down water like so for a landing will instead create a waterlogged half slab. And since it is facing like this, they won't be able to land on the water side of the slab, but instead just break their legs. These minecart rails can make for a solid wall against any monsters. See, the way that their pathfinding works, they register the track as a block that they can't walk or jump over. But to us, it obviously works just fine. So even if it doesn't make much sense, this does give you a pretty seamless way to get the bad guys out of your base. So you won't have to worry about any Fortnite fans sneaking in. Because see, we're currently at war to try to pass the Fortnite channel in subscribers and prove that people actually do care about Minecraft, even though the Fortnite community likes to say otherwise. So if you haven't already, join the cause and subscribe down below to prove that people do actually care about Minecraft, because it's the best game ever. Though even after placing the rails to keep those monsters at bay, be sure you don't let too many of them pile up, otherwise they could push the other ones over. Here's how to get X-ray in vanilla Minecraft. See, if you drink a Swiftness 2 potion, we can increase our FOV substantially, and then partner this with a Quake Pro field of view setting, and we can get a real wide-angle lens. From that point, run along a wall, and you'll notice that you can see inside like so, which could come in handy while you're looking for cave systems while down in your branch mine. And hey, if you want to make this last longer, then a fully powered beacon can make this X-ray fantasy into a full-time reality. These end rods make for the perfect mob-proof door, and the reason being is that even though we know that this is a gap that we can walk through, the zombies chasing after us don't. And hey, they also offer a new light source to cut back on any mob spawning near that wall. But when you build this, just be sure not to have too many mobs chasing after you. Otherwise, if they bunch up, you might notice a few of them squeezing through the gap. Or if those end rods are enough to keep the monsters out, then a drip leaf should do the trick. See, if you dig a 2-block deep hole with a drip leaf matching its height, you'll find that any zombie trying to break through your door will just fall down before it can enter, keeping both us and our villagers safe, even on hard mode. What's this up here in the tree? Well, it's a man-made bird's nest, and the secret here is coral. See, by placing down a coral fan and then adding on top an item frame with an egg in it, you get the perfect perch for your parrots, which looks pretty convincing, especially if you see it from the ground level. Though, when you do this, I'd suggest using a turtle egg instead of a chicken egg. That way, it'll stick out a lot more. And with that, folks, have a good one, alright?